So, I am now on camera. Good evening, everybody, once again. If you're listening on the audio experience, massive shout out to you. Thank you so much for continuing to support the podcast. If you are watching and you're like, you know what, I missed a broadcast you did last week, Ross, or, you know, I want to catch up on some you did months ago before I started watching, get yourself over to iTunes or Stitcher.com. You'll find in the iTunes store for free something called the Act on This TV audio experience. You'll find it by literally just searching for the word Act on This TV, all one word. Subscribe for free. I will send you the audio of all of these broadcasts to your device twice a week for nothing. You can catch up whilst you're riding your bike, whilst you're in the gym, whilst you're walking the dog, whilst you're in the car, on the train, or whatever you are doing. If you listen to the podcast doing something crazy, let me know. Would be interested, as long as it's not too crazy, to hear about that. So what's going on? Anyone got any exciting news to report? We're looking at an awesome book tonight. Tonight's a book club for those who are joining for the first time or just found out about this on a Wednesday night, 9 p.m. UK time. I do a book club once a week. We're looking at a book by a top LA acting coach, a bit of a friend of the website that I run, actsonthis.tv, a friend of the site. I've interviewed him twice. It's called Anthony Meindl, and we're looking at this book of his, the first book that he wrote, called Left Brain Turn Right. It says on the front there, an uncommon path to shutting up your inner critic, giving fear the finger, and having an amazing life. So this kind of mixes personal development and acting industry goodness into one, which is really what actonthis.tv is all about. It's what I try to do, just not in book form, but in video form, audio form, and through interviews that I do with famous actors, writers, producers, casting directors, etc. I've got an interview coming up tomorrow that I'm doing with a writer over here in the UK called Debbie Horsfield. She writes Poldark. Poldark's, you can see that on both sides of the pond. PBS play that out in America. We've got it by BBC over here in the UK. Massive. She created Poldark by rewriting 12 novels, effectively, for a screenplay. Huge, huge show. I'm sitting down with her tomorrow to record a podcast with her about casting from a writer's perspective, because it's something that I've never heard a writer talk about, and yet I know writers have a big part to play in the casting process. Kim says, I booked 2 venues for next year to perform my one-woman show. Kim, that is exciting news. Congratulations on that. Yeah, that's really good. Let us know in the Facebook group when those shows are going to be. I'm sure there'll be some people who will want to come and support you. So tonight's the book club. We're looking at Anthony Meindl's book, A Left Brain Turn Right. And what we're looking at tonight, this chapter resonates with me so much. It's halfway through the book. I'm not reading this in chronological order. I never do. This one is titled Creativity. And it's all about, well, you know what, I'll just start reading it in a minute. It starts with an amazing quote, but it's all about how, as actors and just, you know what, as non-actors as well, just human beings, we can all stifle our own creativity because of what society tells us we should be doing, what we shouldn't be doing. We don't want to risk stuff, you know, or we don't want to lose. And a lot of actors think that if they are only pursuing their acting career, that is the only creativity they can have in their lives, which we all know is total bullshit. I've never worked so much as an actor, yet never done so much outside acting, and I don't think that's a coincidence. I think being creative in lots of different areas is a really healthy thing to be as an actor, because it means that you're not just obsessing over whether you're working or not. It starts with a quote. Listen to this, guys. Give me some hearts if you like this. It says, "One of the most tragic things I know about human nature is that all of us tend to put off living. We are all dreaming of some magical rose garden over the horizon instead of the roses blooming outside our own window today." It's by Dale Carnegie. If you've ever read Think and Grow Rich, you'll have heard of the Carnegie family. All the hearts are coming through. It's amazing, isn't it? Because it's so true. One of the most tragic things I know about human nature is that all of us tend to put off living. We're all dreaming of some magical rose garden over the horizon instead of the roses blooming outside our window today. All right, and who here, be honest, right, has looked at, like, quite regularly this part of their life, as in, like, now, as a struggle. It's like, I see people like this all the time. They're like, oh, you know what, yeah, how are you? Well, I'm all right. I'm kind of doing okay. I've just got to get November out of the way, you know, and then I'll be right, you know. I always have a bad November. And then it'll be like, oh, you know what, yeah, it's just, you know, money's a bit tight. I've just got to get Christmas out of the way, and then I'll be okay. And then it's like, oh, January. Everyone hates January, don't they? Oh, it's so cold, and, like, you know, there's nothing in the shops, and it's just sales everywhere. It's too busy, and, oh, you know, I'll be all right when January's out of the way. And I'm just like, crying out loud. It's like constantly looking at the now as a struggle and something to get over. as opposed to actually kind of going, well, you know what, it's always going to be like this. The brutal reality is you're always going to feel slightly overwhelmed at all times. Bobby says, me with winter in general. Maybe that's just been conditioned in you, Bobby, as you've been growing up, mate. And it's just a bit of like a preconditioned kind of thing that you have now, where just winter in general, you just associate with like, dark, bad times or gloom, because it is harder when it's darker earlier. In the UK, it gets dark here at the moment like 4 p.m, which is shit. I hate it because I've got night blindness and can't really see in the dark, so it limits my mobility a little bit. But I'm just like, you know what? It's going to be like this for 6 months of the year or whatever. Just, got to deal with it. It's not like, oh, I've got to just get over this and things will be all right. You know what? You've got to deal with what's going on right now. Gary Thomas is in the house on Facebook. He says, just got to get 2017 out of the way. I hope you're joking, Gary. That's funny, mate. But yeah, people are like this, aren't they? Oh, I just got to get this year out of the way. I see people in June 2017 going, oh, God, like, I just, good riddance to this year already. I'm like, mate, you've got 6 months of it left. And you know what? The years are just the Gregorian calendar, like as in like the 9 till 5, the months of the year, how we live our lives today. It's all man-made shit anyway, because it was made by people in the Industrial Revolution to kind of make us go, okay, 9 till 5 is the working day. All right, we could do Monday to Friday. We have Saturday and Sunday off. Years don't really exist, do they? It's just pointless, but people love it. Oh, I'll write off the rest of this year because I'll start my healthy eating in January the 1st. I'm going to get in shape, but I'm going to pig out the rest of the year. Nonsense. Life is rarely what we think it's going to be, says Anthony. On most days, it's better than I imagined, but that's only when I stop daydreaming and relinquished control, telling me it's supposed to look a certain way. So since he's relinquished control of what he thinks his day should look like, he's basically finding out that most days are better than he imagined. He says, but that's hard to do. We spend our formative years telling ourselves what something is supposed to look like and when it's supposed to happen and how. But life's going to take us on its journey, whether we go along for the ride, kicking and screaming, or not. Sadly, we often end up missing, because we're so busy fighting what is, the call of creativity. So we end up missing the call of creativity because we end up fighting what is. Okay, creativity only occurs in the unknown, Anthony says. We have an aha moment. We see a film and we're inspired. We're listening to music and visualize a project. We're talking about a world event with a friend and we want to contribute to a special cause. All of these ideas came from something, and then the act of creativity forces us to begin. The idea, the passion, the desire is generated within us, but to see that dream manifest, we have to start somewhere. But where? It's a lot like a game of trust. We're being asked to move from the world of the known, I have a great idea, to the world of the unknown. How the hell am I going to do that? I had that very recently when I decided I was going to launch a clothing label. Know nothing about it whatsoever. Those who have been watching my weekly vlog will see me in that process. The first lot of t-shirts we've designed have been ordered, paid for, but I had no idea at the beginning how I was going to do it. I had this idea, this aha moment, then the creativity has to start, doesn't it? I could have gone, oh, I'll do that when I've got more time, or I'll do that when I've got more money, or I'll do that when, when I know more about the fashion industry. I didn't, actually, because I just went, I'm just going to do it. Let's see what happens. Everything required to bring our idea to light will become apparent as we begin playing with our initial spark of creativity. But at the outset, we face a blank page or an empty canvas or a barren space or a pair of tap shoes just screaming, jump in, create. We have to take a leap into the unknown and risk failure, risk rejection, embarrassment, getting lost, discomfort, ridicule, and oh yeah, absolute bliss. Because you can also get that, guys, by not taking a risk. You risk actually not working and not having that bliss if it does work. Which a lot of people don't get because they just err on the side of, oh, well, at least I've not risked loss. Well, actually, you've not risked loss, but you've actually risked winning, and you're guaranteed you're not going to win because you've not taken that risk. But if we don't trust the process, we don't trust the leap, then the assistance, the guarantee that we're looking for can't come. As much as we don't like to do it, we are designed to take the leap. We're supposed to take the leap. Anybody been holding back on something this year in your life and you haven't taken the leap yet, and you're like, oh God, I still don't know if it's the right time? Because we all know that there is no right time, obviously, and thus the lovely thing about that is by default it's always the right time. But anyone got anything specific they've been holding back on, let me know. It could be anything personal, private life. You don't have to disclose if it's too personal, but maybe you've been putting off that relationship, or you've been putting off, changing that agent because you don't want to upset somebody if you're an actor, or you've been putting off writing to somebody for fear of, I don't know, some bullshit. Anyone got anything where they've been like, you know what, I haven't taken that leap yet? Maybe you're in a day job and you're like, I need this money. Lorna Sales here on Facebook. All right, Lorna, maybe you've been in a day job. You're like I was for 11 years working in retail, going, I really, really want to pursue my acting career, but I need the stability of this job. I really didn't. I took that leap eventually. It was the best thing that I ever did. But let me know if you're in a situation like that. So Anthony says, acting is a great metaphor for illustrating how creation itself occurs in the unknown. An actor may know the material. He's memorized his lines. He's made choices and has ideas about what could or couldn't happen in a scene. But the creative inspiration comes in the total unpredictability of the moment. Something occurs, and in that unknown moment, we slap our partner, or start to cry, or kiss him, or spit on him, or hug him, or her. The inner critic wants to label the response inappropriate, saying, I can't do that. But in fact, it's the possibility in each moment which contains all expressions of life, even those which others would call inappropriate, or perverse, or profane, or not nice. That births creativity. And this is often the case in every art form. So the singer, the poet, the writer, the musician, the athlete, the computer technician, the scientist, the teacher, the nurse, the doctor, we strike down ideas and inspirations before they've been given time to be nurtured and explored. We have this set picture of our imagined life from years ago. Any time an opportunity arises that could lead us to something different, we shout no. We fear it will exclude the possibility of some other specific dream from ever happening. And this is where it gets interesting. Alex, good evening, mate. Alex is here on Facebook. Alex has been writing to every agent in the Northwest who have rejected him so far. But Alex, keep going, mate. For me to get my current agent took about a year and multiple letters. Well, it was letters back in those days as well. It was initially, anyway, postcard, then email after that. This is where it gets interesting for me, okay? It's all about our limitations. Who here, God, me at 35 now, if I think back to how I thought my life was going to be at 35 when I was 18, it is nothing like it at all. At 18, I was like 35 years old. My expected life at 35 when I was 18 was like, right, I'm definitely married by now. I've got one kid minimum, if not two. Definitely, have a house. I don't know. I'd be way more further along in the acting industry than I would be, than I am now. Life just has not played out to be that ideal that I thought it was going to be when I was 18. I've learned to accept that, and that's absolutely fine. And it's actually quite exciting going, well, you know what? Just because that's kind of like, supposed to be the done thing, or what success looks like if it was, perfect. Bobby says, "Where are your kids now?" Cheers, Bobby. Just because someone says it's got to be that way, it doesn't. That's like everybody's journey is different, isn't it? So Anthony says, "Look, I've this little bit of the chapter here says I've fought hard for my limitations. This is what a lot of people do, right? My close friend," he says, "Janelle is a wonderful actress, and she makes people laugh hard." Right, like the time she wore 6-inch heels to an audition, tripped on the stage and slid headfirst down the embankment onto the lap of the director. Sadly, even with a head in his groin, she still didn't get the part. So much for the casting couch. That might be a bit risque nowadays. He wrote this book before Harvey Weinstein came out. Well, not came out, but the stuff about him came out. Maybe that's still to come, who knows. But he says, look, a number of people have encouraged her to start writing, but Janelle refuses. Anyone said that to anyone in here? Oh, you should write stuff, you funny. You go, oh, no, She says, look, I'm an actress. I'm not a writer. She's such a strong mental picture associated from a lifetime of being in show business that she believes an actress only acts. But why limit ourselves? We can do it all, and every experience in our lives can awaken latent talents we never knew existed. Very powerful statement. We can do it all, and every experience in our lives can awaken latent talents we never knew existed. So Fanny says she refuses to write. Well, if you refuse, how do you know what would happen if you give it a go? If it's something that, people have been telling you to do, or, you've wanted to explore at some point, but you're holding back. We can be an athlete and a painter. a singer and a computer whiz, a teacher and a musician, or an actor and a writer. I was the opposite, a writer who became an actor, said Bobby. There you go. Awesome, man. Gary's a writer. Don't know if you ever acted, Gary, but I'm sure you've said at some point you wanted to dabble in it at least. But he says, look, anything goes. We can train for a marathon, write an opera, direct a play, and work at the local supermarket. The only thing that limits us are our own limitations. They're limitations in the mind only. And I find this with actors all the time. There'll be people who will be like, I'm sure there's people who go, you know what, that Ross guy, yeah, he's not a real actor. He's not a real actor at all. You know, what's he want to concentrate on? He's doing voiceover all the time. He runs a website. He's interviewing people. Is he a presenter? What is he? He does act occasionally, but now he's running a business doing T-shirts. Who is he? You can do it all. A friend of mine was struggling to get acting work, wrote for a well-known TV show, and then got cast. There you go, Kim. Boom. I just think you're totally limiting yourself if you're just doing one thing, and if all you're doing is acting. I don't know, just my experience of actors who, I've said this so many times, who are just actors, pretty dull. Acted a tiny bit, says Gary. Good on you, Gaz. So he says, often society is complicit with supporting our limiting beliefs. It will mirror our own self-imposed barriers by providing constraints, labelling us as one thing only and trying to put us in a defining box. It's up to us not to allow ourselves, or anyone, whether parent, spouse, teacher, sibling, or well-meaning friend, to define who we are, who we can be, or what we can do. When Janelle says no, she's cutting herself off from being the channel that she and all of us actually is. Perhaps a creative impulse wants to be expressed through writing because it can't be expressed in some other way. With that comes possibility. She could write a role for herself. She could discover writing fulfills her in ways that acting doesn't. That was the thing that I said to me a few years ago. I said to people that I discovered in myself, was that acting will never be enough for me. It alone will never be enough. And it felt so good to say that, because for most people saying that would be sacrilegious and kind of like, oh, you know, that's it then, he's failed. Well, don't think so, really, to be honest. Going to be on the planet for another 60 years. Plenty of time to try stuff out, isn't there? I hope 60 years minimum. So with that, yeah, comes possibilities for her that she's not getting by not writing, basically. She might even become more creative and act even more, because acting would no longer be the sole focus of her life. Exactly what has happened to me. But our mental pictures often get in our way. Got a 6-part book series to publish too, says Bobby. There you go. Same here, says Kim. Well, not about the 6-part book series, but doing other stuff. So our mental pictures often get in the way. They create false beliefs. Janelle thinks if she writes, she won't be able to act. Or worse, by starting to write, she might have to deal with a voice within herself that's telling her she's failed as an actress, even though she's already a success. Our contaminated thinking has such a powerful hold. It deludes us into thinking that by giving up our dream and comparing ourselves against society's imagined definition of success, that we've failed. The truth is that the act of creating is far greater than the pictures we have in our heads. In fact, it's actually fulfilling the picture in a more magnificent way than the mind's minuscule interpretation of I have to be on a TV series now, or I can't do that because it's going to prevent me from doing this. But how do we know? Well, we don't, except when we're willing to take the leap and it reveals itself. But so many of us remain motionless, our feet firmly in place. Okay? And then there's a great quote by a girl called Erica Young. It says, and the trouble is, if you don't risk anything, you risk even more. It's good, that, innit? Give me some hearts for that if you like that on Periscope. Who likes that? And the trouble is, if you don't risk anything, you risk even more. And there'll be something, everyone on here, just want it to, even if it just resonates with just one person who listens to this or watches this right now live, and they've got this little thing in their head and they're like, you know what, I should really do that, or I should invest in that, or I should ask that person this, or go for that job, or change this, change that, and you're like, oh, but I can't because I'm afraid. I don't want to risk it. Just like, if it just makes one person just take a leap, because you know what, there is probably no worst case scenario. If it doesn't work, just go back to what you're doing now, and you haven't lost anything. You know, if you ask somebody something and the answer is no, you're in the exact same position you were in before you asked it. Most of the time. So Anthony says, listen, just say yes. He says, when I moved to New York in my early 20s, I thought I'd be an actor my entire life, doing nothing else. But as I began to let go of my control of how I believed things had to look, I started expressing myself in ways that were previously unknown to me. I realised the key was to keep saying yes to what life had to offer, and it will take you on a wild ride beyond your imagination. Okay, saying yes to life ushers in a multitude of other yes possibilities that wouldn't even exist if we had said no. Say yes to the waiter at your local diner who asks you out on a date. Say yes to asking your boss for a rise, but you've been too scared to ask. Say yes to going to hear a lecture from someone you've never heard of before. Say yes to the voice within that encourages you to take the leap into something you've never experienced. My God, say yes as if your life depends on it, because you know what? It does. Okay, literally it does. Genuinely does. Not as in it's going to kill you, but the life you live absolutely depends on whether you say yes or no to what you want in life. Our intellect is not running the show. It only thinks it is. The ego doesn't want us to create and will do whatever it can to undermine any attempt to step into the unknown, whether that's studying acting and saying things like, I don't need a class, or asking a girl on a date, thinking she's just going to say no, or singing karaoke and saying that's just stupid, or taking a trip to Paris and saying, oh, well, I can't afford it and I've got no time to do it anyway. To compound the problem, much of society is structured among and around rigid, identifiable monetary-based models that suggest that the only way of doing something is the way it's been previously done. The paradigm is difficult to overcome. Many of us live the lives we were told to live, following the paths taken by our parents and their parents. Who's been really influenced by their parents in their life here? Anyone literally ended up taking A-levels in things they thought their parents wanted them to take, or whatever the equivalent is in the States, whatever exams you guys have out there. We have A-levels when you're about 17, which basically you choose 3 subjects, or you did when I was at school. And a lot of people's choices were dictated by what their parents wanted them to be when they left school. You should be a lawyer. You should be an accountant. You should be a doctor. Kim says, yep. Fanny says, oh my God, yep. Bobby says, my mother's into film and theatre. So yeah, well, there you go, Bobby. That's good. It supported what you want to do. But I see a lot of people choosing things they think they should choose rather than choosing things they actually want to choose in life. I was frustrated when I was doing my A-levels because I just wanted to act, but my actual degree course at drama school required me to have 3 A-levels, so I had to choose 3 A-levels and I had to get an A and 2 Bs or something. I just chose what I wanted to do though, because I thought I'm never going to use these, so I chose German. I never use German unless I'm going to the Christmas markets nowadays. I chose psychology because I bloody love it. It's the whole point of me doing what I do today, really. And I chose geography because the teachers were dead good fun and you got to go on trips to Wales. So that's basically how I chose my thing, because I just wanted to act and I just needed to choose something so I could get qualifications to get into drama school. But yeah, loads of other people in my year were choosing stuff that their parents wanted them to choose because their parents expected them to be doctors and lawyers and accountants and that sort of stuff. So to compound the problem, much of society is structured around rigid, identifiable, monetary-based models that suggest the only way of doing something is the way it's been previously done. The paradigm is difficult to overcome. Many of us live the lives we were told to live, following the paths taken by our parents and their parents. So what do? Well, we create every day in every way. Your job is not to limit the flow, all right? You are the instrument. You are the channel. Let source or intelligence or energy or creative impulse or whatever you want to label it move through you. We all contain creative genius within us, Anthony says. Contain doesn't mean confine, though. You confine it when you plug up the opening by saying no, or by letting fear be your first response to things. Stay plugged into the universal matrix of which we're all a part of, and you will connect to forces you never knew existed. Might sound a bit woo-woo, that, but I kind of believe in energy as a force. There's a lot of things that I look at as energy. I look at money and finances as energy, just a flow of energy coming in and out. Much of our culture lives in a state of disconnect, though, reducing people to statistics, price points and focus groups, numbers and trends. We exist only within the ever-important 18 to 35-year-old demographic that I'm just about to leave next year. Or the senior sector, or the minority, or the many other ways to categorize and compartmentalize people. We're no longer individuals with dreams and struggles and hopes. We're reduced to consumers, a marketing strategy, a sale. But authentic creativity comes from individual self-expression. It leads, it doesn't follow. It originates, and it doesn't mimic. And that's all about dancing to our own beat. Whatever happened, he said, to the trailblazer within you. Did anyone take more risks when they were younger than they take today? Like, much more. And you used to think, God, I was such a trailblazer. I'd do this and I'd do that. Because he gives some examples here. He says, maybe you were actually reading Shakespeare in high school while everyone else was reading the Cliff Notes. Or maybe you were organising pep rallies to improve school lunches while your classmates were more interested in choosing the homecoming king and queen. Or perhaps you were petitioning the school administration to allow girls to participate in boys' sports. We have to start honouring the path of our own journey and not allow other people's talked about paths make us feel as if there's something wrong with our own. The first half of my life was all about doing things the way I felt I had to do things, or I wouldn't fit in or be accepted or loved or be a success. We all have something to contribute, though. We are of value not because of what others think of us or how others can earn a profit from us. We're of value because of what we can share of ourselves with the world. But you're not going to find that unless you're brave enough to step out onto your path and truly walk it. Anyone here feel they are truly walking their path? I'm going to skip a bit of the chapter now to get onto a little bit later on, because this is really significant. This next few pages. If you want to read the rest of the book, by the way, get yourself over to Amazon. It's about £6 if you're in the UK. Fanny says, getting there. Anyone else feel like, you know what, kind of nailing this? You know, I'm living my true path. I'm not living the path that my parents wanted me to live, or I'm not living the path that society wants me to live, or, you know, I'm not holding back because of pressures of what life should look like or what success should look like. Most people know what it is that they want, but they just end up putting it off, and they're like, you know what, I really want that, but I'll do that later. It's safer to think you've always got next week to do it than actually starting now. Not quite nailing it, but getting there, says Kim. Let's have a look at this then. It says, is this bit's titled, I'll enjoy the moment now, but later? Think so, says Helen. That's awesome, Helen. So he says, I once taught a young actress who was just starting out in the business. Everyone here is an actor will resonate with this, right? But if you're not, still stay on, listen, because you'll resonate with it as well. But if you're an actor, you'll resonate with this more. She was searching for an agent, a chance to get paid work. Alex, this is you at the moment, mate. So she was searching for an agent, a chance to get paid work, go out and get auditions and express herself. All normal desires. But she, like many of us, was never happy with where she was. The innocence and hopefulness of that period in her life weren't celebrated because she was always looking somewhere else for her life to begin. Bobby's looking for an agent as well at the moment. She never saw those moments as being perfect as they were, as giving birth to the exciting anticipation of things to come. Those moments were only seen as a means to an end to take us somewhere else. And this is what I was talking about before about, if I just get this month out of the way, I'll be all right. If I just get this next month out of the way, I'll be all right. Just this year out of the way, I'll be all right. Constantly looking as if it's a struggle right now and things are going to get better at some point, as opposed to looking at things now and going, things are or can be really great if I just allow them to be right now. Constantly looking for that elusive happiness, which always seemed out of her reach. I told her, look, enjoy this. You'll never, ever be here again. Annoying, I know, he says. I knew things were going to change for her and she was going to become famous, so why not enjoy the excitement right now that made her want to be an actress in the first place? A couple of years later, we spoke again as she was starring in her own TV show. All the things she desired had manifested. By most acting standards, she'd made it. I thought once again how glorious a time for her. But strangely, the conversation was still the same as it had been years ago. The circumstances and conditions seemed to change. Or had they? Her desires had been fulfilled. She now had the great agent she was looking for. She was making lots of money. She was famous, a famous actress. She was creatively expressed. Yet although the level of her material success had changed, her inability to once again find joy in the now kept her unhappy and stuck in the never-ending cycle of unfulfilled desire. She complained she wasn't making enough money now. Well, tell that to your waiter friends who were still slinging meatloaf and potatoes, Anthony says. And now she was trying to get different auditions, no longer for TV, but for film. I'm done with TV, she complained. She was still unhappy with where she was. The names and the faces in her life and the amounts of money she earned had changed, but it was really still her state of being, wrapped up in a different package of external trappings. We can't escape wherever we are. Wherever we are, there we are. The outer can never replace the inner. Ever. The true source of happiness in creating is derived not in the end result of what creating can bring us, but it's insatiable, but simply in the creating itself. And I've said that a load of times as well. I've been like, you know what? I'm happy when I'm creating anything. It can be a blog post and I'm writing. It could be a podcast and I'm recording audio. It could be video. It could be a live thing like we're doing tonight. Creating just makes me happy. It doesn't have to be a specific thing, just as long as I'm creating something and bringing something to life that was no longer there unless I'd have basically decided to bring it to life. If you can't be happy, and we said this before as well, with what you have now, it doesn't mean you're always going to have that and you shouldn't want more. But if you can't be happy with where you are right now, I just promise you, because I've seen this in actor friends of mine who have gone on to have massive success as well, you'll never be happy. You'll still never, ever be happy with what you're going to get if you can't be happy with what you've got now. And it's like I say, it doesn't mean you stop trying to have more or you don't deserve more or you should stop striving and setting goals. Of course you should. You should be aiming to be constantly improving. But if you're just not happy with what you've got now and you've not got like a serious issue to not be happy with, as in like, you know, you've not just been diagnosed with a horrific illness or someone in your family hasn't, if you have a house and a roof over your head and you have food to eat, regardless of, whether you can eat out at a Michelin-starred restaurant or, you can go and get a meal for two from Aldi or whatever. As long as you're literally not in dire straits, if you can't be happy with what you do have, which if you do have all that stuff, by the way, and you've all got an internet connection to listen to this, then you're absolutely in the top 1% of the world, like full stop. So if you can't be happy that the fact that you are literally in the top 1% of the world, then you're never going to be happy with what you get, no matter how successful you get in acting or how much you think that's going to fulfill you and fill some kind of weird void in your life. It's always going to be there. There's a great little passage here by Osho. I don't know who Osho is. Sounds like some kind of like philosopher or mystic, but this is interesting. He says creativity has nothing to do with any activity in particular. With painting or poetry, dancing or singing. It's got nothing to do with anything in particular. Anything can be creative. It is you who brings that quality to the activity. I try to live my life by this man, says Fanny. Oh, Osho. Oh, right, okay, interesting. I don't know of his stuff. So activity itself is neither creative or uncreative. This is really interesting. You can paint in an uncreative way. You can clean the floor in a creative way. You can cook in a creative way. Creativity is the quality that you bring to the activity you are doing. He's a phenomenal man, now deceased, says Fanny. Shame. So yeah, you can bring the creativity to the activity that you're doing. It's an attitude. It's an inner approach. How you look at things. Be a giver. Share whatsoever you can. And remember, I'm not making any distinction between small things and great things here. If you can smile wholeheartedly, hold someone's hand and smile, then it is a creative act. A great creative act. Just embrace somebody in your heart and you are creative. Just look with loving eyes at somebody. Just a loving look can change the whole world of a person. And Nancy says, wow, that's true creativity and something we're all capable of doing. And I just agree with it wholeheartedly in the fact that you don't have to be acting and focusing on your acting career all the bloody time to get better at acting, to become a better actor and to be creating. You can create in so many other ways. And I think if you're so hung up on the fact that you're not on TV right now, you're basically you're really setting yourself up for just being freaking miserable for so much of your life. Because even those who are really working in the industry still aren't on telly all the time. I'm sure they must have other interests. All interesting actors that I've met who have had success or haven't, have all had other stuff going on in their lives. Rob Collier, you all know, he's a good mate of mine. All right, Claire's here. Massive success in Downton Abbey. He did that for 6 series. But on the, whilst he was having the breaks from Downton in between filming stuff, he got well into property developing and stuff. But not just that, but like interior design, not just making property development to just make loads of money. He just got really passionate about taking old, dilapidated buildings that look terrible, and restoring them to like incredible buildings. Something that he was just super passionate about, and he risked a shed load of time and money and effort doing that as well. That wasn't all just like, oh, he's on Downton Abbey, he's dead rich, he can just do that anyway. No, he really couldn't. He risked a lot in order to get what he wanted. But he had other stuff going on in his life, not just acting. And people would be like, oh, if you're not just focusing on your acting, then you're going to fail. No, you're not. You should definitely start focusing on other stuff and just being creative in other industries. Now, at the end of each chapter in this book, Anthony gives homework to people. Now, I'm going to kind of change the homework up in this one a little bit, because this is some quite in-depth kind of goal setting that he makes people do. I'll tell you briefly what it is that he wanted people to do, but I'll tell you what I think is better for us. He goes, right, okay, now we've kind of looked at the fact that you're probably holding back on something in your life. I think most people are holding back. I held back on ages for doing the vlog that I'm doing now. Could have held back on the t-shirt stuff that I'm doing, but I just, I've learned enough over the years just to go with it. But there's definitely other areas. I'm sure there'll be things that I'm holding back on if I think about it. I think it's the same for everybody. What he gets people to do here is basically write out, since it's a good time of year to start doing this, but write out your 3-month goals from now. And don't worry the fact that it's like January and you're probably doing this in January, but write out like things you would like to achieve in the next 3 months. Then get a separate piece of paper and write out 3 things that you would like to achieve in the next 6 months. So just like 3 things on the 3 months, 3 things in the next 6 months, and then write down 3 things you would like to achieve in the next 12 months. And he says what you'll find is like a theme that runs through each of those pieces of paper. There'll be something that, like, a goal in the 3 months will lead to the thing you want in the 6 months that might lead to the thing in the 12 months. And he's like, that's the thing that obviously means a lot to you and is something that's probably creative and something that you absolutely, if it appears on all 3 sheets, you should totally be going for, not holding back on, and making a commitment literally right now to do that. I think, you can do that if you want, if that's the way, but I think there is just something that's very obvious for each of us, where you might not have to go through that process where you're like, you know what, I just have been holding back this year or this last month or these last few weeks on this one thing. And you might be wanting to hold back right now instinctively until 2018, because this is what we do. This is the human condition at this time of year. We all start, I've said this many times, start slowing down. I'm hearing people in the industry now saying, oh, this is the really quiet part of the year. And I'm like, yeah, this is a quiet part of the year because everyone else is just winding down and ready to shut up shop. And this is the perfect opportunity for all of us to not do that and get ahead. So Alex, you're definitely doing the right thing, writing to agents now, and maybe try to set something up now rather than in January when every man and his dog is doing it, because you will just be lost amongst a load of other emails. But there will be something in your life right now, if you ask yourself honestly, that you have been holding back on. And I would just implore, as your homework for this week, to just quit listening to the fear. Quit making that fear louder than the excitement of actually winning if you go through with that thing. Because like you said, if you don't risk, then yes, you save yourself from, potentially the embarrassment, the loss, the all those other things. But you actually also save yourself from the bliss that you could get if that thing goes right. So it's just about having an honest look at your circumstances right now, where you're at. Professional life, personal life, like I say, maybe you're in that job that you just hate and you're like, God, I've said I'd be leaving this job for 5 years now and I'm still in this job. Start making a conscious plan now to get out of that job. Don't just leave it tomorrow. That might be a bit rash. But but don't hold back anymore, at least looking for alternatives and researching what you could do instead. And there could be a whole bunch of things. There is going to be for lots of different people on here. Claire says, glad I've come in at this point. I think cultivating other interests keeps everything in perspective. Totally does, Claire. And it just means that when if you've got more than one thing in your life, not just acting, when you're not acting, you're doing that other thing and it's still fulfilling your creative needs. You never feel disconnected. You've always got something to be working on, something that makes you happy. Honestly, I know it sounds so sad, really sad. This is ridiculous, but when my desk here, right, if you're on the audio experience, you can't see. Well, actually, if you're on the video, you can't see because there's a bar at the bottom of the screen's in the way. But if my desk is lovely and tidy, and this office is lovely and tidy, and I'm like, right, I can sit here on my own with my desk lamp on it. It's all quite cozy. It's dark outside. It's winter, and I've got a warm brew. And I can just sit here and go, right, I'm going to drink my coffee and I'm going to create something on the website. I'm going to edit a podcast. I'm going to edit the vlog. I'm going to do a live broadcast. I'm going to write an article. Utterly in my element. Just as happy as I am when I'm working as an actor. Because I'm just creating something. It's not as flash, not as glamorous. I'm not meeting as cool people and stuff. So I'm probably not feeling as significant as I would be if I was hanging around with, actors on a set somewhere. But I'm still bloody fulfilled. Kim says what do you say, Kim, about your radio presenting? Because, Kim's been presenting on the radio now for like a couple of years, haven't you? Every Saturday morning. That's something super creative. And that's going to make you it's going to make you a better actor, Kim, because you're having to think on your feet. You're having to process stuff quickly. You know what? Me doing this, sitting here for an hour twice a week and basically talking to a screen because there's no one here. I know you're writing comments, but there's no face-to-face contact. I'm looking at this camera, and that's the only kind of contact that I've got with you guys. Has made me so much better at kind of like conversation for a start, improvisation stuff, ultimately just being confident in front of a camera, full stop, and going, oh, what do I say? What do I say? Well, you know what? I don't know what I'm even going to say. When I go live on these things, I literally have no idea, bar I know I'm going to read some of this book. I'm not thinking right now what's going to come out of my mouth. I'm just saying it, and whatever happens, happens. Whereas Ross 2 years ago would have been like, oh, God, what if I say the wrong thing? Doing Shakespeare really helped me my confidence performing in front of people. If you can recite Shakespeare in front of people, Bobby, you can definitely be confident in front of people, because there's talking in normal language these days is far easier. But yeah, I just think having other things, doing other things that are creative, and having human experiences and experiencing emotion, good, bad, indifferent, whatever, it's just making us all better as people and better as actors, and better creators, basically, because you've got more stuff to draw from. Anyone got anything they want to share in terms of what you might be starting or what you would love to start? Now you're like, right, I'm going to quit holding back and I'm just going to start creating, because I know if I start creating something else, it isn't me saying I failed as an actor. It's me saying I'm going to start doing other stuff that fulfills me, so I'm actually a better actor, because I walk into those auditions fulfilled anyway, and my life doesn't depend on whether I get the job or not. Thus, I'm going to be happier. I'm going to charge the people who are seeing me. I'm going to charge them up. My energy is going to be better. What would you like to do? Anyone got any ideas? Because we've still got, like 5 weeks, 6 weeks of the year left. Don't put it off till January, because that's just a safe thing to do. And you're only putting it off to January because you're afraid, because you're just scared. It's not because it's actually like practical to put it off. I'm developing an app at the moment, says Alex. Amazing. Well, you don't give us your idea away live on air, Alex, but in what space is it? Can you say that? Can you at least tell us what space it is? Is it a game, or is it a tool? Is it for actors? Is it not for actors? Give us some info on that. I've looked at developing apps in the past. Very interesting space. Tell you what I'm looking at the moment, which I've been putting off, but if you watch next week's episode of Watch Ross out on Monday, go to youtube.com/Watch Ross. Be looking at cryptocurrency. I want to create a course to teach people to podcast and broadcast, says Kim. Kim, do it. Do it. I wanted to create a course to help actors bulletproof their mindset. Might have taken me like best part of a year, but I created Bulletproof Actor. Awesome course. I'm in a band. That helps with creativity. It definitely does, Helen. That's an awesome thing to be in. After 2 or 3 double vodka Red Bulls, I always feel like I'm in a band, particularly if I'm in karaoke bar. Although I don't really drink anymore. It's for actors, says Alex. Awesome, man. Well, that's really interesting. Definitely, if there's anything we can kind of help you with in terms of, a focus group or like, a test bed of people, Alex, post it in the Facebook group, dude, and 8,000 actors in there who will all help you. If you're not in that group, facebook.com/groups/act on this TV. But that's wicked, yeah. Definitely, yeah, cryptocurrency. I've just been hearing so much about Bitcoin over the last couple of years and how massive it's got. My friend Mark bought 2 Bitcoin in 2013 for $200 each. Those Bitcoin are now worth $8,000 each. Crazy, innit? How quick cryptocurrency is basically online currency. Bitcoin is the biggest. There's other ones called Ethereum, Ripple. If anybody knows, like really knows about cryptocurrency and has invested and actually knows their stuff, would love to talk to you about it. Give me some education on it. But that's something that I've been putting off. I found out about Bitcoin in 2013. If I'd have put money into that, I could be pretty rich by now. But I didn't because of fear. And I thought what I could lose. What did I actually have to lose? A few £100 that could have made me thousands and thousands and thousands. Very good lesson for me, though. But yeah, all interesting. But yeah, just start doing that thing, whatever it is for you, that you've been putting off for a long time. And if we can help you with it, or anyone in the Facebook group can help you with it, let us know. That is the chapter on creativity for this week from Anthony Meindl's At Left Brain Turn Right. If you want to, like I say, read the bits that we didn't read tonight in the chapter, or you want to read it's such a thick book, all the other chapters that we're not going to get to cover on book club, just go to amazon.co.uk or amazon.com, search for Left Brain Turn Right. £6 in the UK. Audiobook is only $3.99 in the UK. Definitely get the audiobook if you prefer that. If you listen on the podcast and you're like, you know what, audio is my thing, get the audiobook. I'm pretty certain it's probably even Anthony who reads it. I'm sure I saw him do a tweet or Instagram post at some point where he was in the booth voicing his own book. I think it was this one. It might have been Alphabet Soup for Grown-Ups, his second book. But have a check it out. I think it could be he could have narrated this one as well. Going to be looking at another chapter next week and another chapter the week after that, and then we're going to be doing one more book before Christmas, and then that will be 2017 done and dusted. We've probably looked this year at 12 awesome books that really are quite life-changing if you take them on. One of my favourites this year was called The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. You should definitely look at that. If you go to actonthis.tv, just have a little search for Slight Edge in the search box. If you click on the menu in the top left-hand corner, definitely look at that one. Susan Jeffers wrote Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. Another one of my favourites of the book club this year. But we will be looking at one last book once we've looked at this one for the next 2 weeks. So if you've got a suggestion for that final book of the year, do let me know. Tweet me at ActOnThisTV, leave it in the Facebook group, or tweet me personally at Ross A. Grant. Would love to hear from you. So what do you think? Been useful? Do you like the book? If you did, definitely tweet at Anthony Meindl, spell Meindl, and let him know. He's a top bloke. He's in the UK, I think, this weekend doing or he might have just been last weekend, doing a intensive workshop because he runs the Anthony Meindl Actors Workshop. But he's a top guy. If you go to actonthis.tv, I've done 2 interviews with him as well. I'm definitely going to get him back on again. He's just a very, very cool bloke who, just knows how it is, ultimately. Gary says, yeah, useful. Cheers, Gary. Appreciate that. Any more for any more? If you've been watching my vlog, by the way, I'll say it again. I know I'm ramming this home, but there's still time to go and leave a comment on an episode of my vlog, and I could be drawing you out at random on New Year's Eve to win your 2018 Spotlight subscription, paid for completely for free by me. You just go to youtube.com/watch Ross. This is a weekly vlog that I do behind the scenes of my acting career, my voiceover career, online business, the new clothing company, personal life, just everything, no holds barred. It's so narcissistic, isn't it, really, when you think about it? But it's very entertaining. I think it's useful. But having someone follow you around with a camera, basically, filming your life, I know it sounds mental. It's just unusual. That's why we think it's narcissistic, because not many people are doing it. I promise you, in the next decade, every man and his dog is going to be doing this. So it is a bit unusual now. But, you know, those who get things generally approach things differently, don't they? So I just thought, give it a go, and people are enjoying it. But if you go to youtube.com/watch Ross, subscribe, and then leave a comment under an episode. And if you leave a comment under every episode, then you've got more chance of winning. But basically, I'm going to draw someone on New Year's Eve, and they're going to get a payment basically to pay for their Spotlight for 2018. If you've already paid your Spotlight, which I did day before yesterday, I'll reimburse you. And if you're not an actor and you're like, Spotlight is useless to me, I'm going to buy you a great gift. I don't know what it is, but it'll be some cool piece of technology, something that's going to make your life better. So even if you're not an actor, check out the vlog. There's stuff in it for everybody. It doesn't have sometimes the episodes don't even have anything to do with acting in, depending on what I'm doing that week. So do check it out. I've got a question on Facebook. William Mitchell. Good evening, William. Thank you so much for being here, dude. He says, hi, I have a question to ask Ross. I've been involved in quite a lot of short films as an actor, though the only thing is these projects are unpaid. Not sure if this is a good thing, as it would be great for the showreel. Yeah, William, honestly, I mean, depending on where you're at in your career. Again, I had a whole conversation with my agent about this yesterday, and we both agreed. Depending on where you're at, working for free is the right thing to do if the project is good enough and if it's going to serve you in a good way. And whether that's because you're working with great people you've not worked with before, it is going to be good for your show reel. You think you're going to enjoy it. I mean, don't do it for doing its sake, or if it's a terrible project, the script is rubbish and someone's going to film it on their phone. Unless you want to. It's ultimately got to be down to you at that point. If it's for free, you've got to want to do it. But I am sick of the whinging in this industry. And people might not even agree with me here, and that's fine. But I'm sick of this whole, plumbers aren't asked to work for free. Dentists aren't asked to ever work for free. Doctors aren't ever asked to work for free. No, they're not. They're absolutely not. Dentists and doctors particularly are not asked to work for free because they've been through 5 to 10 years of medical school, spent tens and tens and tens of thousands of pounds on highly skilled training, incredible abilities to save people's lives, and really make an impact like that. Thus, they're always going to be in demand. They deserve that. If you've just woken up one day out of the blue and decided you want to be an actor and you have the audacity, which this is what it is, I feel I have the audacity as well, right? We all, when you think about it, as actors, we're so ridiculously audacious. We all expect, really, because we all want to make it, right? Whatever make it is. We all want to earn a shed ton of cash doing something we love. And there are people on here, and I include myself in this, if we want to get to where we want to get in the industry, we are expecting to get very high up in the industry where you will be paid multiple 5, 6, potentially 7-figure sums for doing something that you love. That is ridiculously audacious. The audacity to go, I deserve for someone to pay me all this money to do something that I love. It's ridiculous. It's so entitled. It's insane. It's just like when you realize that actually how audacious that is, all the shit that you are getting in your life and your career, the struggle and the fight to actually get where you want, you deserve it all and you should embrace it all. And go, you know what, this is part of the process and I'm asking for so much, I should actually lap all this crap up because I deserve it if I'm asking for this thing. Doctors, what are they asking for? Yes, they're asking to be paid a lot of money, but they're literally saving people's lives. It's bigger than what we do. And yet we're asking to be paid more than them. Actors are getting paid insane amounts of money, more than the Prime Minister, So if you have to do a couple of jobs for free, and you're embracing it, William, it's a good thing to do, mate. You're on the right track. If you're doing some short films and you're like, man, this is like getting me experience, getting me exposure, and I'm getting good stuff on my show reel, keep on keeping on, because that stuff can then be used as currency, mate, to get you an agent or a better agent, to be put in front of other casting directors or directors. You don't know where it's going to lead you to. If you say no to everything out of principle, you've lost already. So don't say yes to every free job if you don't think it's going to serve you. But if these short films are serving you well, mate, and they're unpaid, it's fine. It's absolutely fine. The amount of jobs I've done for free, particularly in voiceover, that have led to jobs that have paid me literally thousands of pounds, it's got to be over a dozen. In the last few years, and that's basically how that works. I'll explain what I mean by that, because that sounds like a big thing to say. But I'll be at a studio doing a voiceover. At the end of that voiceover session, the engineer might say to me, "Oh, Ross, could you do us a massive favour whilst you're here? Could you just voice this test commercial that we've got to do? We've got this commercial for McDonald's or something, but we've got to pitch for it. So a production company will be pitching to McDonald's to go, we want to make your advert, and they'll do a test advert for them to go, if we made your advert, it would be like this. And they'll say, Ross, look, this is just a pitch. Could you do the voiceover for us on this? But if we win the job, there's a high likelihood that you'll win the job because they'll want to use the voice that we use in the test. Could you just do that for free whilst you're here? And I might have just done a voiceover for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours or whatever. And I could turn around and go, you know what, I've kind of had enough. I'm not getting paid for it. That's bullshit. Of course I will do that. because I'm not interested in short-term dollars. I'm interested in leverage and influence, and helping these people out so that they can reciprocate. We talked about that on Monday. Later down the line, the amount of times I've ended up getting the job because they've ended up getting the job, lots and lots of times. Now, if I'd have said, no, I'm not doing that because you're not paying me, I would have missed out on thousands of pounds, William. So you're doing the right thing, mate. Gary says, sent you an email about a read-through next month. Nice one, Gary. I'll check that out, mate. Alex says, that's very true. We expect so much from our career, so obviously our careers will expect so much from us first. Honestly, it is. Seriously, next time you see an actor whinging about being asked to work for free, just remind them of how audacious it is to actually want to get paid to prance around in front of a camera or on a stage pretending to be somebody else. It's insane. Yes, it's entertainment. Yes, it brings enjoyment to people's lives. Escapism is valuable, but it's just not as valuable as they think. And it's such a privilege to get paid very well in this industry to do a job like that you love, that ultimately is non-essential. You know what? Your bin men, they're the ones who we go, bin men get asked to work for free. Can you imagine if them lot went on strike? It happened in Birmingham not long ago. You end up with literally piles of shit in your street. Massive spread of disease, illness, all this kind of stuff. It's a really, really valuable job. You know what would happen if we all went on strike, guys? Nothing. No one would care. They might go, oh, man, I wish Game of Thrones was on. Bothered. It is audacious. It's massively audacious. So accept all of the shit that comes with it because we all deserve it. We all deserve to go through some adversity to get to the thing that we want within this industry. But actors wouldn't be paid so much if you didn't have... So actors are paid so much... Fanny, say that again. I can't remember. I couldn't read the end of it. Actors are paid so much because of the business, the same way footballers are paid so much. A footballer is not worth £200,000 a week. But the puppet masters at the top who control all of the money, the clubs, the merchandise, can sell millions of pounds worth of shirts with David Beckham on the back, can justify why they pay them so much money because they're earning them so much money. The acting industry is a business in the same way, okay? It really is. We all do it for the love of it, of course. But at the end of the day, if no one was making money out of it, no one would do it. It would be futile. The BBC have to make money, ITV has to make money, Channel 4 has to make money, and thus they spread the wealth because they're making a lot of money. They pay production companies a lot of money, thus who can pay actors a lot of money. It doesn't make the actor's job any more important, relevant, or essential. It just means that it's a successful business, thus everyone in that business gets paid well. It doesn't mean that we're better than the people who are getting paid minimum wage. I'm not better today working for a few £100 an hour than I was when I was working at Game, the computer game shop, for so many years for £6.75 an hour or £5.75 an hour. I don't deserve it more today. Ross, I'm a better person in terms of I'm more developed and rounded and I understand myself better, and I'm probably a far nicer person like that. But in terms of my self-worth, it's not like, one person's worth £5.75 and one person's worth £200. It's just the business you're in, isn't it? But I just think actors get so strung up on this. I'm being asked to work for free once in a while, and it's terrible. We're being exploited. Well, you can always say no for a start. No one's asking you to work for free. And yeah, it's not, we're not that important. We are to the industry, but just like I say, at the end of the day, we're not the doctors who never get asked to work for free. We're not the dentists who never get asked to work for free. They're never going to get asked to work for free. Many actors have literally just woken up one morning and decided they want to do it. I could understand if if you'd been to drama school and spent 50 grand on your degree, and then you were like, right, I have trained for years and years and years, thus I shouldn't be asked to work for free. Yeah, fair enough, but most haven't. Most have spent 40 quid at a local acting class and suddenly decided they're an actor, and now I'm not working for free. Well, go and work for free for a bit. Get some experience. Most people have done it, including myself, and it's great. You'll enjoy yourself. Writers' strike shut down TV programs. Yeah, well, they'll shut down TV programs, Gary, but how essential are they? I know America, so it will shut stuff down on a business perspective. So there was a massive writer strike in America. TV shows have 20, 22, 24, 25 writers in the States. If they all go on strike, they can't write the show. It's done. But the news doesn't shut down. the essential stuff that society sees essentially in terms of, the world doesn't stop. Yes, Game of Thrones goes away, The Simpsons goes away, I don't know, House of Cards goes away, whatever. But no one dies when writers go on strike or actors go on strike. It's just perspective, innit? And it is audacious to go, I want to get paid hundreds of £1,000s or even, £60,000 or whatever a year to act. It's a big ask. So if there is some shit that comes with that, embrace it. It's part of it. Enjoy it. And then you'll deserve that money when you get there. Whinging from day one about not working for free isn't going to get you anywhere. Annabelle, how are you? Says, just tuned in, but we'll listen to the podcast. Can't wait. So it took a little turn at the end, Annabelle. Just a personal rant of mine, basically, about people whinging. But no one in here is a whinger, so it's fine. No one in here is whinging. I'm just talking about other people in general that I'm seeing in the industry having a good old whinge about how unfair it is. If you're looking at it as being unfair all the time, you're always going to lose. And like I said, it should be unfair. Meritocracy is an incredible thing. It means those who work the hardest run the show. Those who put the most work in, the most effort, have the most tenacity, they're the ones who do eventually break through and get success. Yes, in the short term, you'll see people who you think aren't working as hard as you, getting further than you, but if you stick with it, you too will have success. And that's how meritocracy works. It should be unfair because there's hundreds of thousands of us all looking for the same thing. So those who work the hardest should have the most spoils, I guess. It's a really interesting subject. I love it. But that's because I love the game. I enjoy it. I enjoy no's. I enjoy yeses. Just enjoy all of it. What'll happen will happen. This time's going to pass anyway. We might as well try our best. We might as well go for it. Not let fear stop us from doing things. Not whinge about stuff. We might as well just focus on the positive, not on the negative. Flip the negatives around so they fuel us and make us, propel us forward, make us want more, not defeat us. That's what's so interesting about it. Just ordered a book full of writers' agents who accept scripts. Good on you, Gary. Gary, man, honestly, but you are working hard. I see it all the time. I see stuff about your film and stuff that you're posting on Facebook and things like that. You are doing the thing that I am talking about now, because I ain't getting paid for that because it's your own thing. You and your crew and all the people you work with are going for what you want, and you're not going, oh, it's so unfair. I should just be given a TV writing job. Why? And you'll make it, Gary. You just got to stick with it, and that's exactly what you're doing. That is meritocracy. It's brilliant. It's my favourite word in the dictionary. That's what I love about life. It should be unfair, and those who work the hardest will get the most. So thank you. I know we went off a bit on a crazy one there. Caroline's here as well, just joined. Massively appreciate you. If you're listening to this on the audio experience, thank you so much for getting this far. Let me know your thoughts on working for free. It's a hot topic, but you know mine now, but I'm not opposed to anybody's thoughts. I'm more than happy to hear other people and have a debate about it. But I'm just going off my experience. My experience and my intuition tells me working for free on the right projects is the right thing to do. I have done it, and I have had success through it. So hugely appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here. Going to be back on Monday night for some motivation and mind hacks. Caroline says she was watching Peaky Blinders, although it actually also corrected it to Pesky Blinders, Caroline. I think that's more like it. No, Peaky Blinders, great show. I would love to have worked on it. I don't know if they're going to do another series, but fantastic show. So appreciate you all. If we can do anything for you, always let me know. Ross at @onthis.tv. Anyone who has sent me an email, Gary, you said you have, I will get round to those this week. It sometimes does take me a few days. Be patient. I'm not ignoring anybody. But I've just got quite a lot on. I've got that interview to do tomorrow. I've got a voiceover tomorrow morning. I've got the vlog to edit. I've got this to edit. I've got this to turn into a podcast. A few things. William says, cheers, Ross. This is a big help. I don't mind working on these short films unpaid. Thought it would be nice for a few paid shoots. I've never done any stage work before. Apart from that, I enjoy it. William, it will come, dude. It will. You do your free stuff now. Get your experience, and then you'll be at a point where you're like, I feel like ready now, where I only do paid work unless a great opportunity comes up. But don't do it all your life, mate. You want to progress on. But if you're just starting out and you've not done any stage work before, how else are you going to get that experience? So yeah, you're definitely doing the right thing. Just choose wisely. That's all. Go with your gut, go with your intuition. If you think it's going to be a good experience for you, just say yes. Because it's going to open up your creativity. That's what we've spoken about tonight, and you're going to hopefully enjoy yourself. So I will. I'll catch up with you all very soon. Appreciate you, and I'll try and end this now on Facebook first. try and end this in a elegant fashion, and I never can. I'm always playing around, going, which button do I press now? Facebook definitely could do with making this easier for creators to end stuff. But here we go. I've got to go down here now. I've got to go in here. Then I've got to go into here. And then into there. There we go. Right. I'm going to love you, leave you. Thank you so much for being here. Have a fantastic rest of your week. And I'll speak to you guys very, very soon. All right. Bye for now.